Good morning and welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. Happy Friday. It's such an amazing day, or whatever day it is that you're watching this. You know what time it is. It's that time. Time for a Cuppa Grata with a shot of expression into squirts of reality. And I have the most incredible co-squirt today. And we're going to be talking about the Cooch Ball. Both of them just seem to make sense when I say that together. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But anyway, she's an amazing, award-winning wellness entrepreneur. Her name is Jana Danielson, and she's the creator of the Cooch Ball. We're going to find out what the Cooch Ball is. We're going to find out what the Metta District is. And we're also going to find out how to take better care of yourself because your private parts matter. Welcome, welcome. Hi.
Hi, I love that. I've never been called a co-squirt before, so I love it.
Welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild, girl.
Thank you.
It is a cup of gratitude, and I'm super grateful you're here. I love that. She's boss. Actually, she is boss. And for all of you joining right now, we're going to be talking about this. This is the Cooch Ball right here.
I have to go the other
Or
way.
here. The other way. And we're going to get really deep into why that this beautiful little ball is going to help you in many areas of your life. Ladies, if you're older, you know that there's maybe some things that are happening. I'm going to let Jana get into all that. And I'm actually just really going to hand this over to you, Jana, to take over. We had you on Women Rising, and it was an amazing experience. And if anybody missed Women Rising, go in and check it out. I'm going to put a link to order your own Cooch Ball right here into the chat. So no worries, you will not miss your Cooch Ball. You know, I swear to God, I want to go coochie. I just can't help it. Does anybody else go, oh, coochie?
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's kind of it's fun, right? A little
Jana,
sad.
it's so fun. It's ridiculous. Spark the G vibe. That is what I gotta say. Spark it. It's,
This is gonna be
so,
fun. All right.
um, yep. So, girl, tell me. Okay, first off, let's just go a little bit of your background. I didn't read your whole bio. I apologize, everybody, but I really want to get into this. This isn't honestly as much as I'm bringing fun into this and light into this. This is a really serious subject. So, just so that you all know. Anyway, Jana, how did you get into this?
So not by chance, really. I mean, I had my own pain journey. I think so many of us who are, educators and maybe content creators, we have a story. And when we were in the middle of that story, or when I was in the middle of my story, I just kept thinking to myself and asking God, like, why? Why me? What did I do? Did I do something to make this pain, my pain in my body, happen throughout my late teens, early 20s? And it was digestive pain. And it made me lock my body down. I was protecting, right? I mean, you don't want
Mhm.
to be in pain when you're little and your brother or sister is going to come and wrestle you, you kind of, wince and try and get away from the pain. And that's what I was doing. That's what my body was doing. And as I was trying to get away from the pain, I was actually locking my systems down. I wasn't breathing properly. I was, holding tension in my muscles.
Mhm. Mhm.
I wasn't strong. I was tight, and it showed in my demeanor, in the way I had, my relationships with people. And I just thought that that's what my life was going to be. And
Mm.
so when I decided to take inspired action and, get off the 12 different medications I was on, because my doctor told me that the pain was in my head.
Mm.
Um,
Oh, those are the it was pseudo, huh?
yeah,
Pseudo pain.
the pain was
If
in
you
my
it,
head, but
mm.
it was there. And I was also seeking attention. So I was trying to bring attention to me. So I was kind of like, the boy who cried wolf, that story.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that. Anyways, you can imagine when you look outside of yourself to get healed, and those experts in the white coats say that to you, it doesn't make you feel very good. And so I retreated. And even though I looked healthy, and I'm sure many of our audience members feel that way, you look in the mirror and you look healthy, you don't look ill. But inside, your body is a complete disaster. And not only that, you don't even know how do you start to unravel this ball of yarn that is like all in knots. And so that's what I started doing. And I did that with Pilates. And through my transition from business consulting into Pilates into wellness entrepreneurship, I started coming across women in their work with me that were either looking to improve their wellness or were already, fit and strong, maybe doing a marathon and just wanted to make sure, they added Pilates to make sure their knee pain went away or whatever it was. But there was this common denominator where when I taught Pilates, and we'll talk about the breath in a little bit, but when you breathe diaphragmatically with this big muscle of respiration called the diaphragm that lives in your rib cage, there's a connection to the pelvic floor. And so innately, when I taught Pilates, I would always start to ask about the pelvic floor. And I would get either that off in a faraway land look, or almost embarrassed or shameful. And it took a while for my clients to be educated by me in a way that we started talking about the pelvic floor, just like we talked about a bicep or your glute, right? Or your hip being tight. And what I started hearing was, this is what I'm going through, and I'm sure no one, you may not have heard this. That's how these things would start. This may be new to you, but when I have sex with my husband, I cringe because of my pelvic floor pain. What do you think about that? Or, you know what, I am noticing, I just had my baby and I'm peeing a little bit. And so there
Every
was
time they sneeze or,
right.
oh yeah, gentlemen, if you're watching, this is a thing, okay? Ladies, I'm sure that you're watching, you can resonate. And men, can you just understand the compassion needed here? Jeez.
Well, and the part of it is that we don't actually think of the pelvic floor as a muscular part of our body. Like when you're standing in front of the mirror getting ready, you look at every other part of your body. You don't think of the pelvic floor because it's internal, right? And we're conditioned, I believe, as women and men. We're going to talk about the pelvic floor in your realm of being as well. But as women, we are conditioned to, again, we decided to become a mom, therefore we pee our pants. We're in menopause, our hormones are changing, therefore we have a lot of vaginal dryness. We just think that that is a part of our experience as women, our spiritual essence of woman in this physical body is that, because that's what we've been taught or we've been handed down. It's the stories we tell ourselves. And you know what? It's actually not true.
Oh, go figure. And here's why she knows it's not true. This is the killer part. Ready? Go.
Why I know it's not true?
Why you know it's not true?
Well, it just is when you start having the conversation and you start to educate, and people buy what you're, they're picking up what you're putting down. And there's these light bulb moments that go off and they're like, oh my gosh, you were actually right. Like I can, I'm using this ball and I can feel the blood flow. And so there's this respectful skepticism that women come to. You mean I can really do something about it? And yeah, we can, because we even have the numbers to prove it. There's a flagship research study done by Dr. Bruce Crawford, a urogynecologist from Reno, Nevada, and he showed in his research that about 90% of pelvic floor dysfunction in women is actually a fitness/movement issue and not a medical issue.
Get out.
Right? So what does that mean? There's 10 women sitting in a waiting room waiting for pelvic floor mesh. Usually it's mesh that gets inserted, and this mesh, like a hammock, almost does the role of the pelvic floor. So you get this mesh pin up. Imagine if 10 of those women sitting waiting for their surgery, if we could tap 9 on the shoulder and say, come with us. Come with us. We're going to show you and we're going to educate you. Actually, you have the power, the control, the ability to improve those muscles, because they're muscles. Just like we can improve every other muscle in our body and make it more functional or not. The same thing happens with the pelvic floor. So that's how we know. That's how we know.
So what was your experience? Why because we have to do these things for ourselves. So
Mm.
I want you all to know, if you're just now joining us, we are talking about the Cooch Ball. The Cooch Ball is this, okay? This is what she's talking about. This is what she uses. This is what she teaches in order to strengthen your pelvic floor, men and women. It's on the other side. It's a Gooch Ball, by the way.
Yes.
Just so I mentioned. And the link's in the chat in order to order this. And along with her normal $47 starter pack is free. The promo code is in there, and I'm just gonna, there you go, post it.
Perfect.
All right. So you saw these studies. I'm imagining, because of what you went through, you needed to find a solution that was not surgical. And you're right, in a room of 10 women, given the opportunity to not have to go through a surgery and actually rebuild the muscle, I'm gonna personally say I'm gonna vote for going to build the muscle.
Yes. Yeah. And so, you know what, from my past pain journey, and then being a mom, I'm the mom of a 17, 19, and 21-year-old boys. When I was having my babies,
You all know that's crazy, right? But go ahead.
not
When you
months
were
old, years old. Yeah. Um,
shit.
so when I was becoming a mom and being a mom and not having the time to care for myself, and by that time, having my Pilates training and learning basic things like, you know, blood flow really is queen when it comes to health and wellness in our body. If we don't have the oxygen rich, nutrient rich blood to surround our organs, our muscle fibers, our fascia, our joints, this blood is carrying the life source really for us to have, the vitality that we deserve and that our families and friends deserve. And when there's a lack of that, we no longer are living in ease. Okay, so when we're no longer living in ease, guess where we move to? We move to a little town. It's a hyphenated town called, Debbie said it,
Dissies. Diss.
disease,
We're in
right?
diss town. We're the diss town. You all know dissing isn't fun.
No, no, no. So that's where my brain started working. Like, I knew from my Pilates training that, if you grab, like, if people, get a foam roller, or they'll get a little fascia release ball, and they'll use that ball or a tennis ball on their shoulders, or they'll roll out their legs. And I was like, how, if we know that the research shows that blood full of oxygen and nutrients is important for healing and preventative health, how do I replicate that in the pelvic floor? And of course, being the mom of three boys, I have
This
like
is
every
brilliant.
size of ball in our basement, right? For like
Uh-huh.
their hockey mini sticks and things like that. And so one day I just grabbed a ball and I sat on it like a hen, like a mama hen on her nest, right? Sitting on her eggs. And I was like, what would happen if? And so I sat on it for a while, and I think I was probably playing something with the boys, and I got off the ball and I was sitting on the floor, my legs were crossed, and it actually felt like I was sitting through my basement floor, like through the rug, through the underlay, through the cement. And I was like, what? What is happening here? I felt like the Grand Canyon was between my legs. I felt this like tingly warmth. And I was like, what is actually, like, do I need to remove myself from this situation and not?
Ooh, okay.
So, okay. And then I was like, okay. And so, later on the next day, I tried a different ball and I tried to
Yeah.
replicate it. And I was like, okay, I think there could be something here, because whether your pelvic floor, and see, a lot of people feel like pelvic floor, and I'm making a fist, because when a pelvic floor is hypertonic, it's too tight. Okay.
Hmm.
There's also the other side of the coin, which is hypotonic, which means the pelvic floor is lacking tone, and either is dysfunction. So what we want to create is, like any other muscle, a muscle that can work when we ask it to, but yet rest when we need it to. And so that then I kept playing with this ball, and then I went to like a toy store, and I was like, I need to find these balls. It was a 5-inch playground ball. And I
Hmm.
bought them all and I took them to my studio, and we started using them in classes, and people were like, oh my gosh, what is going on here actually? And it so I would do that. I would go and I would buy all these 5-inch playground balls and I would sell them. And then it was hard to source 5-inch playground balls. So I was like, I had a client say to me, you need to create a solution for this. And I was like, how do I even do that? So I picked up the phone and I started calling like, Wilson and like basketball manufacturers and like volleyball manufacturers. And I would pick, hi, I'm Jana from Canada. I'm looking for someone who will make a ball for the pelvic floor. And sometimes I just got like click. And sometimes they would burst out laughing, like, you want to do what? A pelvic floor what? Anyways, found a manufacturer. Like the Three Bears, I started getting, this was too hard, this was too soft, this is just right. And the cool thing is about this, Debbie, is that this is actually created for our body. It's a patent. I'm a patent holder. I never thought that would happen.
Is that just the coolest? You guys, look at this. Is great. You did cool. That.
I did
it. That's so cool. Congrats. Hey, can we just all, I want to just, for a second, let's just honor you for doing it, for actually going down a path that a lot of people wouldn't do, Jana, just because of the fact that sex, our private parts, our cooch, our gooch, it isn't things that people want us. I mean, people get like, oh, I'm shy. I don't want to talk about it. They get embarrassed. We've got a Facebook user says, I feel a stirring in my loins.
Yes.
Because we have to get kind of, because we don't know how to react. So we have to do things that, because we're embarrassed. We've somewhere along the line, somebody said it's not okay that you have a vagina or a penis, and God bless it, don't talk about it. Right?
No.
So let's honor her for not only talking about it, bringing it to the stage, but showing us how to improve it. Hello.
We have, honestly, Deb, like, we have to start the conversation. If we don't start the conversation, and that's part of the reason I actually called this the Gooch Ball. I wanted it to be edgy and sassy, and I wanted it to catch people's attention. And you know what? For some people, it's backfired on me. They are disgusted that I would, think of our part of the body that way, and how disrespectful are you? And I'm like, no, but that's not it at all.
Oh, no, let me tell you a secret. I want to tell you a secret.
What?
Here's the secret. They're not grossed out. They're so intrigued by you, they can't stand it. So you know what they do? They order it behind your back, and then they use it, and they don't tell you. They tell no one.
Well,
because anybody that is so offended by a word that's designed to actually improve something in your body, there's pain there. I had to jump in and say that. Okay, I'm done now.
No.
I'm ranting.
Well, no, but if we don't have the conversation, then on the other side, like, you have the conversation, it still is in that person's realm to still say yes or no. But if you help them get beyond the yes, and if you help them embrace and get connected, our bodies are beautiful. A female body, a male body is beautiful. We are meant to, we're meant to keep this planet populated. We are meant to have pleasure with a partner, without a partner, with multiple partners, whatever your jam is, we're meant to. And you know what else? We've been told, in the name of wellness, that a pharmaceutical created in a lab, packaged as health, is the only option. And I'm referring to men in this case, right? Billion-dollar drug industries, and here's now my soapbox. Billion-dollar drug industries have been developed with little pink and little blue pills because men have been told something is wrong with them because their body doesn't work. Relationships have ended. Businesses have ended. Like, men are so ego-driven. Can you imagine the shame when they feel like their body no longer works for them and they can no longer have that part of their life unless they take that pill to create an unnatural sensation? I don't know when it's going to go away, right? And the other piece here is just like with those women, the 10 women sitting in the waiting room waiting for surgery,
Yeah.
about 80% of erectile dysfunction in men is a pelvic floor that is too tight.
Get the hell out.
Like if I had a mic,
Jesus Christ. I swear to God, I drop it
well,
too.
and you know what? My
Drop
lip
the
gloss
thing.
is going to be my mic. I'm
Is
dropping.
it?
Okay,
Thank
there
you.
we go. So
Drop the
guess
mic.
what that means? Guess what that means? If you can
I know
take
what that means.
what?
That means that men, you aren't going to need your little blue pill, and the pharmaceutical company is
No,
going to cry.
no. And here, and I want to be like straight up. So there are pelvic floor physiotherapists in this world, and they're beautiful beings that help us internally. I see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, and of course, the treatment is internal, right? And their job is to help, do some release work or, wake that muscle up. And here's the thing for men, so women, I mean, the access is vaginally. For men, there's one way in.
That's it.
That's it. So it is an anal treatment. And guys, if you can sit with that, and then for some of you, if you can get past that, a couple of pelvic floor physiotherapy treatments can absolutely change your life. And then you follow up with maintenance with your Cooch Ball or your Gooch Ball and keep that muscle tone functional so it doesn't get too tight again. How do we expect blood flow to get into the penis if there's like a brick wall in the way?
Yeah, that totally makes
right?
sense. Yeah.
It is.
So what if they don't want to do the
Yeah,
physio
pelvic floor physiotherapy. So
and they just want to start with the Gooch?
Yeah, start with the Gooch Ball. Absolutely. And here's what I can say for men and women. There's a little something called the ouch factor. And when you sit on your Gooch or Cooch Ball, it's, about 2/3 full. And there's a whole course that comes along with it that you can watch and get educated. But when you sit on it, there's an ouch factor. And let me tell you, the ouch factor has a direct relationship to the health of that area of your body. So if there is a complete lack of blood flow, the muscles are atrophying, it's like desert, there's no hydration at all, this is not going to feel awesome. And you might not stay on for the 3 minutes. You might stay on for 30 seconds and then you might get off and then work your way up to 3 minutes. So understand, that's the other cool thing, is there's that immediate biofeedback. Once you start to feel 2 and 3 weeks in, like, oh wait, I actually stayed for a minute this time. And so that's how you know. That is how you know you are actually impacting the health of that area, because the ouch factor is going to start to decrease.
That is just freaking bomb. Are you guys loving this, or this is just, I am fascinated personally. I'm going to put the information right here into the chat. That's where you order it. And here's another, I want to do a little shift because I also want to make sure we talk about the Metta district as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, gentlemen, ladies, anybody have any questions, please feel free to ask bluntly, whatever's. My husband actually asked the question the minute that you were answering it, and that was about blood flow. So yeah, I mean, it all makes perfect sense. It just makes 100%. It makes sense. It's a muscle.
And it's simple. Like
Wow.
we complicate things in this area of our wellness. And you know what? I have had women say to me, I've got like a grade 3 prolapse, right? And so what happens over time is when that pelvic floor muscle is not supporting our organs inside of our body, those organs descend and we get what's called prolapse. You can have grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And so I've had, people say, I've got a grade 3 prolapse. Will the Cooch Ball fix that? The Cooch Ball can't ascend an organ, your bladder or your uterus back up into your body. But the Cooch Ball can create more functional tone so that there is no further prolapse. I have had people at grade 1 and grade 2 that have they're completely like no prolapse, right? But they're at a point where we can improve it, but we can't completely fix it. But your husband's right. It is all about blood flow, and that's what's so simple about it.
That's what he was questioning. Yeah. And then he says you're answering it. And again, anybody else, if you have any questions at all, please put them into the chat. Luke, good morning, and good morning to everybody. And I know that's Dr. Saf Buxey, all the way from the UK. Saf, is this not the most interesting information ever? How you doing over there across the pond? And of course, our beautiful Sandra with Twin Flame Radio. That's beautiful that you are here. Wouldn't Jana? This is an amazing. This is seriously an amazing thing. Just it is. There's no two ways about it. I'm sitting here saying, that's that just takes it takes our health to another level. To be able to have a ball like this right here in your house, something you can use easy peasy lemon squeezy style to build a stronger pelvic floor for your body. I mean, now talk to me about what you did when you were on Women Rising and you were describing the pelvic floor and of course the roof and
Yeah,
how that works. So let's
yeah,
talk about that and then let's bring some chakra work into this and how that you would use that.
yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so to help you understand literally how simple this is, if you think about your core, so a lot of us think that our core is just our abdominal muscles, right? And it's actually a little bit more than that. You're not wrong, but there's a little bit more than that. So the roof of your core is your diaphragm muscle. It's a mushroom cap shaped, or the top of a
Okay,
jelly.
the core. Okay, uh-huh. All right.
The roof. Your diaphragm is the roof of your core. And if you take like a big cleansing breath in and then out, right? As your lungs fill with air, your diaphragm has to duck out of the way. As you exhale, the diaphragm reemerges. Okay, so that's how the diaphragm works. It's kind of like an accordion in a really simple way. You have your muscles of your abdominals that create the cylinder of your core, and there's 4 layers of them. The 6-pack is the outermost layer, and we have aspired for that damn 6-pack. And really, I'm going to say here, gang, who cares? Who cares? The 6-pack muscle is the least functional of the ab muscle. It sits you up from bed. It stands you up from tying your shoes. And that's really about it. The internal and external obliques create an X shape at the front of your body, help you twist and turn and bend. But your transverse abs, imagine them like a corset from the back of your body to the front, or for guys, like one of those big, thick weightlifting belts. The transverse abdominis work with our diaphragm. So when we breathe deeply, and we breathe 86,000 times a day, everyone. If we can make 3 times a day, 10 to 12 breaths, be deep cleansing diaphragmatic breaths, that would be amazing. Here's the importance. Your diaphragm, because of its location as the roof of your core, and the pelvic floor directly below it as the floor of your core, have a direct relationship. So what I mean by that is when the diaphragm is not working, when you're using your secondary breathing muscles in your neck as primary, and that mushroom cap muscle just kind of hangs out all day, every day, guess what the pelvic floor is going to do? As a BFF to the diaphragm, it's also going to hang out. They're like,
Oh
let's just
my.
do it, right?
Oh, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah. And our body's always going to choose the path of least resistance. So guess what that means? If you start to actually understand how to use your diaphragm as your main muscle of respiration, that muscle is going to be dynamically moving. The pelvic floor underneath it is going to be going like, hey, wait, what? What are you doing? I'm going to join you. And so just by learning how to properly breathe in a diaphragmatic way, guys, girls, the pelvic floor, it's like giving it CPR. You're going to wake it up. And it's going to become functional just from breathing. And then you add the Cooch Ball and Gooch Ball, and I actually call it beyond the Kegel, because we've all heard of the Kegel, right? Where we imagine that you're peeing and you stop the flow of urine, and you start the flow of urine, and you stop the flow of urine. So we can do that. I mean, I'm sure all of you are sitting right now, squeezing and releasing, and that's a Kegel, 100%. But here's where this is beyond the Kegel. A muscle should be able to work through a range of motion. You have a little baby, you want to pick that toddler up. You have to pick that toddler up and put that toddler down, or pick up bags of groceries and then put them down. To turn on and turn off a muscle with no in between, you can actually be impacting that pelvic floor in a negative way. You can be making a tight pelvic floor tighter because you're not understanding the release or the elevator going back to the ground floor. So that's why I love to teach the diaphragmatic breath, because as we're sitting here, let's try this. As you inhale, just relax through your bottom pelvic floor not doing anything. You could easily start the flow of urine. And as you exhale, think of drawing that pelvic floor up away from your seat. And maybe it's like an elevator lifting, or women like you are squeezing a little grape, or, slurping, out of a straw. And then the inhale puts it back down. Guys, for you, it's like if you're walking into a lake or an ocean and the water's a little cooler and it's getting about mid-thigh, and the boys do their little lift up toward, the scrotum lifts. That's the work of your pelvic floor. So just so you understand the sensations we're trying to create, it's the lift, which is the work, and the lower, which is the rest. And that's why it's beyond the Kegel.
That is way beyond the Kegel, guys. And Ben, did you realize that you're in this with us? See, that's the deal. That's the dealio. It's not just women that have all these issues. That's the beautiful. If you are human and you have a pelvic floor, and it's as simple as that. And why not do something simple, easy peasy, lemon squeezy to take care of it? I'm going to say that this is probably one of my favorite Spark the G5 episodes ever. Seriously. I mean, for real.
Thank you.
Have you done research into, or have you tapped into the spiritual essence behind the reasons that we have no, I'm going to word it differently. When the pelvic floor, when we find that it's not as strong as it should be,
yeah.
What's the spiritual meaning behind that, do you think?
Debbie, and there's layers to this, right? There are layers. And when we've kind of touched on a few, but we can reframe them in that spiritual aspect, is that we have been taught, at least in like the North American society, that it's private. There could be some shame around it. Someone may have dealt with some trauma in and around that area. And those stories stay with us. Mm-hmm. I was reading a book by Lisa Lister, and it's called Witch, and she talked about our pelvis as our cauldron. And she talked about a moment in our history that she calls the healer Holocaust, when the medicine women and the midwives and were really, they were trying to be eliminated on this earth. They were thought as supernatural and scary. And so many of the stories around, the spiritualness of our pelvis and our pelvic floor, I believe, stay with us from those past lives. And when you think about, the energy of our root and the chakra and what that means, we tend to hold and protect when we need to. We tend to, as people, hold tension through our neck and our pelvis. Those are the right? And we are, as beings, we are meant, like our sympathetic nervous system is inside of us because we're meant to be able to deal with stress, right? Like when we're in a stressful situation, it's supposed to have a beginning and an end. And during that time, blood gets pumped away from the heart into our extremities. Our thirst and hunger mechanism turn off because we're not supposed to be eating during times of stress. Our heart rate increases and we hold. But then what's supposed to happen is the parasympathetic, that yin and that yang energy is supposed to come together and help us rest and restore and rejuvenate. And instead, we hold and we protect and we don't sit into that spiritualness of the beauty, of what that is. Because I tell a story sometimes, and I was in grade 3 and we had the public health nurse come to our elementary school, and she did a session with us all about becoming a woman, getting our period. And we got this little booklet, and I went home and I wanted to read it to my mom. I was so excited. So I was sitting at the kitchen table reading this book. And every time the word pubic came up, my little 9-year-old brain didn't see the L. And I kept saying public, the public area. And so my mom came over, she sat down beside me and she put her hand on my knee and she said, Jana, honey, read that word. Like, look at the letters in that word. And again, my brain didn't see it. Pubic wasn't a word I knew. It wasn't on a spelling test.
Mhm.
Like, there's an L. There's no L. Okay, there's no L
Uh-huh.
in that word.
Yeah.
It's a public area. It's a pubic area. It's a, and then she went into, it's a very private area. It's, and that, that stuck with me. And so we, especially as you're going through, like, maybe you're having kids in you're in that phase of your life. I know when I was having my kids, my body didn't feel like my own. It
Nope.
didn't feel beautiful. I was like I was a hotel. There were people staying in my body. They were feeding off, like I was an Airbnb. They were feeding off my body, and it didn't feel like me at all. So so that's where I think the spiritualness, we get disconnected from it in a way. And so the Cooch Ball experience can be extremely meditative, because when that blood flow returns, it's like bringing our life source back to our very being. And it's beautiful, and it's sensual, and it's that physicality of us being humans,
Yeah.
having a bit of a spiritual experience in this human physical body.
That is, I absolutely love that, because what I've really captured from what you were saying is that our early on belief systems that we're taught from our parents, and also I want to add in from my own trauma and other things like that. My mom gave me a book, library books. There were a set of 4. I actually looked them up to see if they're still around, and I did find it. I mean, 4 to describe what our body parts are. It's like, we never had any kind of discussion. She did, probably because of her experience. I traumatized her apparently when I was like 3, because she wanted me, she was told that she's supposed to teach us the right words. So a vagina is a vagina, right? So she's teaching me this stuff. So of course the neighbor comes over and I'm like, straight up, "Do you have a vagina?" Like, just and she's like ready to fall on the floor. I mean, of course, I was born in 68, so this is like 1971. you know, that's a big no-no, we're not gonna do that. So I traumatized her, so she gave me library books later, so she didn't have to go through that again.
Yeah,
And I'm a mom, I understand. I would be doing the same thing. But yes, the disconnect that we get from our body, period.
yeah,
The disconnect that we feel. And in disease, you are disconnected. The dis part. Remember, we're getting rid of that we want to live a life that does not have that disconnect. And what I like about the Cooch Ball, and I'm going to show you all again, just for those just joining us, this is the Cooch Ball. This is what she's been talking about, and she is the inventor, the wonderful, incredible knowledge bringer, full of wisdom and giving us so many tools. I mean, this is some tool. This is what this is about, sharing this kind of beauty so that people can actually work on healing themselves. And let me tell you, I don't know anything in life. It seems to be our sexual relationships are really important. Come on, you guys, we're sexual beings. This is what we are. And so it's just so important to bring a little bit more normalcy, for one. That we're all normal. We all have stuff. We all have things. And I love that. That brings that. I'm curious, audience, what does it bring for you? What kind of message are you receiving today? Because it's really, really important. All right. So give me your favorite story of somebody that's been through this process with the Cooch Ball that is experiencing a different, without names or anything,
yeah,
just, yeah.
yeah. So I had a young woman come to see me, newly married, teacher, and a Highland dancer. So, the river dance, kind of vibe.
Oh, how fun.
So she came, and within the first 3 minutes, she was in tears. And she said to me, Jana, I have the hottest husband on the planet. He loves me dearly. And once a week, and these are her words, once a week on Wednesdays, I let him buck. And I am in, I have such a heightened sense of anxiety all day long on a Wednesday because I know I'm going to experience excruciating pain while we're having sex. But I'm
Oh.
afraid that if I don't allow that to happen once a week, I'm going to lose him.
Mm.
And she was experiencing such intense pelvic floor pain because think of what she had been doing for 15, 16, 17 years as a Highland dancer. You know that, the lower body, it's very controlled. The legs are moving very quickly. You're holding, your core is being held so that your upper body can look fluid and your lower body can look sharp. And
Oh.
that's what she had trained her body to do. And she trained it to the point where there was no blood flow. It literally was like a,
Oh man.
right? And imagine like the penis needs to go somewhere. And that's what she experienced. And so we worked, we started working together and she was blown away. She could only sit on the Cooch ball for probably less than 20 seconds. And I had to take some air out of it. And she went right into protect mode. Like she wouldn't do her breathing. She would just hold. And so it took us a while for her to, get comfortable with breathing. At about 6 or 7 weeks in, she was starting to feel different. She was actually starting to enjoy her time with her husband. And she said, the pain is not gone, but it is much improved. And we were probably maybe 3-4 months in. And she came one day to see me and she said, we're not sharing this yet because it's very, very early, but I just found out this week I'm expecting. And
Oh.
like, so that for me, that was, one of those moments where I was like, this is what it's about. Like, can I say that I saved a marriage or I, was responsible for bringing new life into the world? I don't know, maybe. But that is one of my favorites, along with a client of mine who had a 13-year-old daughter that continued to wet the bed and she was embarrassed to go to sleepovers. And guess what, you guys? At 13
Mm.
years old, it was a pelvic floor issue, right? This little 13-year-old girl was very A-type already, high achiever. She played a high-level sport, and that's what was happening. And she'd done all the things, but once she started working with the Cooch Ball and she was going on sleepovers. And so that kind of gives you a little bit of the spectrum
Yeah.
of what, and then of course, there's one of my clients, guys, he's been using the Gooch Ball that said to me, I feel like every morning, Jana, he said, this might be too much information, but I feel like the 16-year-old version of myself every single morning.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It's like,
From my understanding, men, if you're not waking up saluting to your new day,
the day.
then you might need the Gooch Ball. Just
Ah.
saying, just saying.
I love it.
I well, I absolutely adore and love you for bringing this wonderful stuff forward. It is amazing. So I want to dive into the Metta District and let's talk about what that is.
Yeah. So the Metta District is my online Pilates and lifestyle studio. I wanted to take what I was doing in my bricks and mortar business. So I don't know if I mentioned, I have a bricks and mortar Pilates studio and integrated health therapies clinic in Canada. I wanted to take what I was doing with the people opening my door and coming in to the rest of the world. And that's what I did. And the Metta District is really special to me. I spent a lot of time even just with the name. So Metta, my Metta is 2 T's. And it's a Buddhist word that means a place of non-judgment, love, and benevolence. And that's what I create, is a safe space for people to come and learn about their bodies, learn about movement. Because guess what? When we don't know, our human reptilian survival brain will just fill in the blanks, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem is when you, or the great thing is when you do start to learn about your body and you learn that, that hip pain that you have or those low grade headaches that you have is not just tough luck. It's actually your body communicating to you. So that's what I do. I teach people how to listen to their body when it's whispering versus waiting for it to be in an all out temper tantrum when we have all of these, tools that may include an over the counter medication or just waving the white flag. Yeah, I turned 50 this year, or I turned 60 this year. Therefore, I will have back
Mhm.
pain, or I will have. And so that's what I do. I have courses. I have movement challenges. I've got courses for people with neurological conditions due to an amazing research study I did at my studio with people with multiple sclerosis. I've got workplace wellness courses. I've got a course for people with osteoporosis, osteopenia, and rheumatoid arthritis. And so this body that we have is meant to last us until the last breath on this earth. And I feel like my purpose is to help others connect with that inspiration so that, their body, their home is as livable as possible.
I love that. And for all of you, the metadistrict.com is floating
Yeah.
across the screen, so you can go check that out and really take a deep dive in. What I love is that you're coming from health in such a personal way. And because it's so personal, it's inviting. And because it's safe, it's inviting, which is awesome. I'm actually really curious about why is the air less?
Hmm. Yeah. So it's not, I always say this, it's not unsafe to pump this up like 100%. So what I say, this is 2/3 or like 67% full.
Uh-huh.
This creates a little bit of dynamicness. Do you see it? Like it moves a little bit. It creates a little bit more instability. And that's what I want. I want to challenge that pelvic floor area to melt over the squishiness of the ball instead of just sitting on this rock hard tool, right?
Mhm.
For some people, if it's too hard, the nervous system will actually protect. Like, oh, what is that? Shouldn't be there, right? Think about in the springtime when you go for a bike ride the first couple of times, and
Oh,
you're kind of a little bit sore the first few times. That's exactly what it is, and our body is programmed to protect, even though we might not feel like we rang the alarm sometimes rings. So when we start, and this is my ball that I've had for, I don't know, years and years and years. And it just, every maybe 3 or 4 months, I got to put 1 or 2 pumps into it, but
mhm.
it just stays soft. The body will respond in a more dynamic way. It's going to turn your core on a little bit more as well, because there is that instability underneath you.
I love this. Now, how often do you use it a day?
Every day.
Every day. Every day. And for how long?
3 minutes.
3 minutes a day? 3 minutes a day.
I
That's it.
Yeah. So I have my morning. I call it Mayan rituals, right? I turn on my essential oil diffuser. I take my vitamins. I make my elixir, and then I sit on my Cooch Ball and I do my meditation, my diaphragmatic breathing, and it's like it's my I'm worth that 180 seconds every day.
180 seconds. Yeah, you are definitely worth 180 seconds. I guarantee that.
Yeah,
I promise.
everybody is. Everybody is.
Everybody, you're worth 180 seconds out there. I've put the audience, I've put the chat in the link in the chat. They come out right. Um, and we're coming up to the top of the hour, but I'd really like to take a dive into let's a couple of people along the way who have shown up for you that you have gratitude for. And we'll get
Hmm.
into a Cuppa Grata. And I'd like to talk about a couple of these people that have helped you to get to where you're at.
Okay. So you know that I'm going to probably cry. Does that happen?
This
Yes.
it's sometimes if you do whatever you need to do, baby.
There's just a little flood of emotion. Okay, so when I was doing my Pilates training, and I was only gonna I was just gonna teach for fun, teach to my friends and family, and my birthday is actually on Christmas Eve. So, um, my husband for Christmas that year, I mean, we were still farming at the time, and so he sold some extra grain, and I was opening my card for my birthday, and there were all these homemade puzzle pieces. And I was like, what? Like, it was so fun. So I started putting this homemade puzzle together. And it was, the puzzle was of pieces of Pilates equipment, because I was teaching Pilates on the mat in our home. And there
Mhm.
were 4 pieces of equipment. And those of you that know Pilates, there was a reformer, a Pilates chair, there was a spine corrector. And I was like, what in the actual hell is happening here? Like, what? And he's like, I believe in you so much more
Mm.
than I think you believe in yourself. And when I hear you teaching those people in our basement, and he was up, he's upstairs with the boys, he said, you turn into someone who is destined to impact lives. And he's like, I wanted you to see that because I believed in you so much, I want you to start believing in yourself in the exact same way. And that was the start of it. That's where I, transitioned out of my human resource consulting business. I opened up a small little studio that grew and grew and grew to a bigger facility with an integrated health therapies clinic. And I have so much gratitude for that man, because he sees things in me before I even see it. So for
And
Jason,
ha
my high school sweetheart, who I've been married to for almost 26 years, he's at the top of my list.
that's so sweet. Good Lord. I love getting into just the vibration of appreciation because that's where it's all at. And there's deep appreciation I have for you bringing this forward, period. And really deep appreciation for Jason being such a rock star hubby, man. That is a supporter right there. Men, that's a divine, that's a man who stepped into his divinity that can support the queen as she is growing and stepping out into her queendom. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Dear golly. So before we head out, is there what last words do you have for everybody? Again, this whole conversation has been about this darling little ball called Gooch Ball. Flip it over, called the Gooch. Cooch or Gooch, whichever you want. Gooch. That's just so stinking cute. Brilliant. Brilliant you are. Absolutely brilliant. And this just will help so many people. And I'm so excited for my audience and for everyone out there that it's going to experience a better lifestyle with their pelvic area, be it from medical reasons and you just want it to improve, or have go back to that rock star sex life that you so want to have. Do it. Just
Do it.
do it.
Do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, what else, what do we want to leave everybody with?
I just want to remind everyone of the amazing essence. And you may have woken up this morning and not known, who Debbie was going to have on Cuppa Grata. It's not an accident that you're here either live with us today or that you're watching the recording. And maybe this is brand new to you, or maybe you've been, struggling and trying to find your way, or maybe you've been just, you're fluent in this language of the pelvic floor. And so wherever you land in that realm, just know that our body is actually meant to flourish. Our body is actually meant to live in flow and ease. And it doesn't mean that you have to have it all together right now. It just start. And something as simple, Cooch Ball or not, even just something simple as breathing the air, on this planet to fuel those 75 trillion cells who make you who you are. And we become vital from a cellular level. We then become vital from a spiritual level, in our emotions, all of our systems. And so that continuum from the very unknown, energetic, I can't put my finger on it, to the very real physical, that's what's going on wherever you land. Um, that's what I do. I mean, I hear, I listen, I acknowledge who you are. And there are little tiny things in our lives that we can do, to be our most fulfilling person, being. And I'm all about impact. I want everyone to impact as they were meant to be. So that's my message, is just wherever you are, start. Get out of the Instagram world comparing yourself to the feeds of all these fabulous people, and just be.
I love that. So that's the message for this day today and going forward into the weekend, to be accepting of where you're at and to just start. Do something, do one thing. I'm going to suggest that the one thing that you do is order the Cooch Ball. That's what I'm going to suggest. Here, I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time. There you go. Order your Cooch Gooch, and whether I mean, it is really this is so simple, it's ridiculous. I mean, like, this is easy peasier than lemon squeezier than I've ever had. Like, how do you get that simple? This is the easiest workout I've ever heard
It
of in my life.
is. And you know what? Just so
Seriously.
everyone knows, like, I'm not going to leave you on your own. When you get your Cooch Ball, you get your digital educational resources, a full course called Create Your Pelvic Floor Upgrade. I am with you right along, step by step by step by step. So you don't have to remember or write notes on how to do this. And you know what the other cool thing is, everyone, is this Cooch Ball can also be used body, head to toe. I use it for clients with digestive issues. We do some anti-aging with our face. I've done a little bit of cellulite work with this. So, you know, start with
Wow.
pelvic floor and then expand it out to whole body health and wellness. And it'll be, you know, you'll take it with you wherever you go because it's going to just become a part of you.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So everybody, this is the Meta District floating below. Big, huge gratitude to you, Jana, for being here today. And I look forward to all of the times that we're going to have you back, and also on some other shows that I know Jana's going to be on very soon too. Please watch for her to be exploding out there in the world. Get your Gooch Ball or Cooch Ball because you need to. I don't care who you are. I I mean, had I known that that's just it's you don't know till you know, and then that's all there is to it. Now you know. No excuses.
Now you know.
All right, everybody. Have a beautiful, wonderful weekend. I will see you tomorrow morning on Women Rising. We have Dr. Anita Sanchez and Amalie, who is going to be coming on and sharing her beautiful voice with all of us. That is at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on Spirituality Gone Wild and on Unify and wherever else that you're going to find us out there because we're everywhere. I don't know where we're going to be. So, bye.